Welcome to How to Win at Chess, a series where I take on my Twitch subscribers in 10-minute rapid games and I walk you through my thought process. I climb up the rating ladder game by game. In this video, we have a 900-point gap. We begin at 920 and we end at 1800. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, please do go ahead and check it out. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next video. You already know the drill. 10 minutes per player. We're going to talk through the moves. I'm going to play different openings. We are going to learn and we are going to enjoy. And my opponent has begun with e4. Okay. I'm going to go with e5. And I also have to turn on highlight moves because I turned it off for... There we go. Knight to f3. Okay. No Stafford Gambit. I'm going to go knight c6. Play it nice and classical here. Bishop c4. I mean, knight f6 is possible. Let's see if my opponent is inspired by my fried liver. Oh, my opponent is inspired by my fried liver video. Oh, this is such a big choice. Watch my fried liver video. Okay, chat, I need you to tell me, do I go for the TRAXLER? Or do I go for the main line? Oh, or do I go for, well, the main line is take, knight a5. Okay. I will go for the TRAXLER counterattack. This might be very risky. Okay, my opponent already plays the right move, and if you don't know the TRAXLER counterattack, the point of knight g5 is that, you know, white wants to play knight takes f7, forking the queen and the rook. So we play bishop c5, and it looks like we've blundered. Although knight takes f7 leads to very dangerous things after you sacrifice the bishop with check. My opponent's gone this way, which is the best way. And now we will see what my opponent does. My opponent goes back. There's a lot of ways to play this. What's it called? I believe there's also a trappy line here like this. Oh, I was supposed to play rook f8. Oh no. I was supposed to play rook f8. If you're still wondering why you have to take with a knight, you have to watch the TRAXLER video. Very dangerous stuff can happen. Right? Very dangerous stuff can happen if they play knight takes f7. Basically, I will sacrifice my bishop with a check, then I will take the pawn. It's just, you know, again, it's hard to go into all of the theory, but that's why you watch the video afterward. Okay, now rook to f8. But the whole point of this kind of like as a video series is to give you all the tools you need to be like, oh, he said TRAXLER, let me go look that up. Then you learn the TRAXLER and you go, oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever. So this is considered the best move for white, and then white goes back, right? And it looks like white is very happy. I mean, white has won a pawn, and my king can't castle, but actually this position is incredibly difficult to handle. And assuming my opponent doesn't have their friendly neighborhood chess engine next to them, let's see how they navigate this position. Because it will show you how practical this is for black. Why is this so good for black? Okay, c3 is of course not a bad move. You're trying to go here, but it's not so simple to achieve this. I now have a choice. I can go here and here, which is a common maneuver. I can play bishop to g4, which looks very nice, but then the knight would just go back. Or would it? Can't I just take here? I have so many pleasant choices, it feels like. I'm going to go with this maneuver. c3, the whole point is to build up d4, but I think right now white can't really do that, no? Right, I just feel like it doesn't really make sense to play the move d2, d4, but what do I know? Hey Sharky, we're just waiting for a move here. This is the most difficult part about these climbs is like I forget that music is playing live on stream, so when I'm not speaking there is sound. But on YouTube, if I don't talk, it's silent, so I have to keep talking. I also wanted to record one of these offline for a while now. Okay, so knight to f3, very common, wants to go d4. Now we go bishop g4. So we've developed another piece. Is f4 a good move here? f4 is actually one of the only moves that white cannot play, because white would hang a king. But actually, I believe that in chess, you should be able to hang your king. I actually do believe that you should, like, this should not Like, you should be able to play f4, and it's up to your opponent to figure out whether or not they can take your king. I have taught chess to kids, and what would happen in the middle of a tournament is 2 kids would just realize that someone's been in check for like 7 moves. I mean, that's scholastic chess, basically. Like, a ton of time goes by, and the kids go, wait a second, this position is impossible. How did this happen? That's and then what happens? I don't know. Then the kids like have like a conversation, and then, you know, figure it out. Anyway, d3. So I'm not really inclined to take. I'm thinking knight to the side here so that my rook joins, but I also really like the move queen to h5 with more pressure. But knight here looks just, I mean, it all looks so good. I don't really know what the best move is. I'm gonna go with this one. This just looks really natural. And then maybe I'll put my queen back here. The point is that I'm gonna take at some point and really damage this structure. Maybe even with my rook. Right? Maybe even with my rook, so that I can bring my queen. I mean, this could be bad news very quickly for white. And it's just incredible how powerful this is for black. Even if the engine is like, plus 1.2, this is such a terrible opening, and you're so stupid for listening to Gothamchess. So, I think in this point, my opponent can consider the move bishop g5 check, which doesn't look unreasonable in the slightest. And then I actually want to hide my king this way. Okay, well, hopefully that wasn't the stream snipe. King d7. Now, knight takes e5 is a check, and it opens the queen to see my bishop, so I cannot take the queen since I'm in check. But then I would take with the knight, defending my bishop. In many ways, this move is actually right. So my opponent gave me this check to then develop the knight. You notice that if they had just moved the knight out, the bishop would have been blocked. So they used this to gain time, and now to develop the knight. Now their position is kind of stable. I can maybe continue with my operation here. Again, I'm just, every move that I've made so far in this game has been slightly improving my position from the last move, right? So, yeah. No, I mean, my opponent played a reasonable move. I mean, bishop g5 and knight bd2. Now, I don't think I have an exact threat. Like, the threat of taking this doesn't exist, because even if I win the queen, they just take back. If I take here and then knight takes, I can consider rook takes knight, because that knight would be the defender of the bishop. The queen would take, and then I would take. So I would get the knight and the bishop for the rook. Maybe my opponent would bring in the queen here, but I can just block with the knight. It's actually not so bad. That's the most important thing you have to see at the end of all of this, is that you can maybe block it. It's a little unpleasant. The bishop can kind of come. I gotta be a little bit careful. Gotta be a little bit careful, but I also don't have to do this at all, and I can just slowly build up on the. Now that's not good. So the first thing that I'm considering is to take, and then take, and then take. And that looks good. But sometimes you can pause for a second, just a second or two, and be like, wait a second, but what if I just attack this? What if I just get rid of the bishop entirely from this? Because then the pawn is pinned to the king. That also looks very good. Am I mating? It doesn't look like I have a mate, because if I get my knight here and my queen here, my opponent has rook to g1. I think I am gonna go with this one, even though it is a move slower. I also can play bishop takes, knight takes, and then this move. So it's like a move. I don't, honestly, it's very tough for me to see which one is better. But I really just, I don't feel like sacrificing anything. I want to take the knight for free. And the most important thing here is this, which again ties all the way back to this move. This move. The move that's supposed to be it's supposed to be the best move. Bishop takes f7, right? But what this does is it opens this line. So in many ways, taking this free pawn, just because the computer says it's the best, leads white to this world of trouble, right? And, well, Traxler OP, I don't know what to say. Traxler's just... It's just OP. I mean, some things are free. Let's be very clear. Some things are definitely free. The Traxler is fundamentally unsound? Yeah, but what do those words even mean? I feel like oftentimes, especially as newer players, we are like a little bit too inclined to just, you know, follow these like you know, these phrases, you know. Rook takes f3 if pawn takes bishop takes. And then this position is Traxler is absolutely not losing with correct play. It's not losing at all with correct play. I don't know where that take comes from. And actually, this position is going to end in a very funny way. So right now we are threatening mate. So our opponent can play bishop g3, which would block my queen, right? I mean, grandmasters beat other grandmasters with the Traxler, so... Well, now we have... And this is why you have to watch the checkmate patterns video. The reason I took with the rook first, by the way, good question, is because I wanted my bishop here so it could threaten a mate. I was okay. This is exactly why... Oh, and there's also this one. Oh, that's maybe even nicer. Do I go with the nicer one? No, but then there's h3. I'm gonna go queen g4, queen h3. Is this stoppable? Is it... Can you stop this? This is... I showed this in my checkmate patterns video yesterday. See? After this, y'all have homework. That's exactly what this is. It's a mate on g2 when white has no piece covering the light squares. You play... Oh, yeah. There is queen d1. You guys are right. There's queen d1, and then if this, I would lose. But, I would... Yes. My opponent will have to sacrifice the queen. There is also, for me, the move g5, which traps the bishop. And then I would be winning the bishop. But how strong is this opening? Right? How strong is that? I mean, it's crazy. Like... I think we as lower rated players, it's like we want to emulate the strong guys, right? Well, the GMs don't play the Traxler. It's fundamentally unsound. But what does that mean? You've got to make chess fun and practical. Those two things, right? They need to be fun and practical. You need to understand what you're doing, and you have to have a good time doing it, right? So that's it. I mean, that's it. Like, that's it, you know? I go to the park to play basketball with my friends for fun. I don't go to the park to train basketball for the NBA because I'm not going to be in the NBA. I just go to play, you know, for fun. Bishop to e6. What is this? Oh my gosh, wait a second. That's a really clever idea. I think my opponent wants to go here. Oh my gosh, wait, excuse me? Wait. If I take with the king, there is a check. You always have to look for checks. If I go back, they go queen here. Oh, that would be losing. Wait, would it be losing? If I go back, there is a mate. If I take here, back. What if I block with the knight there? Take and then king here. Oh, that looks too crazy. Oh. No. We're not gonna enter the twilight zone there. I'm good. I can also take with the queen, but this move is still possible. We're not losing, we're only losing if we, you know, lose. That's why you show up to these videos. You're only losing if you lose. No, I mean, actually, bishop e6 is really smart, because if you've watched the video on danger levels, right? how do you stop a threat that takes 2 moves? You have to look at the most forcing moves for your opponent, or for yours. I mean, it goes both ways, right? So opponent can go bishop to e6 check, which is the I can't go here now. Now, whether or not they see this move, I mean, maybe they do because they're stream sniping. If my opponent plays queen b3 now after some thought, I will be pretty convinced that they are watching the stream. If they do not play this move, then we just go back and we win. If they resign, then I'll give them $5. That's a non-binding agreement, by the way. That was a joke. Please. And there it is. Queen to h3, and it looks like the move was ultimately not spotted, and this mate ultimately proved unavoidable. But there was a move there, and it was queen to b3, and you have to be aggressive when times are looking tough. Queen b3, queen h3 would have led to the queen getting in here. You'll notice I'm constantly on the lookout for how my opponent can put me in danger, right? You'll notice that with all of this, one thing that might be being taken for granted, I'm constantly on the lookout for how can they attack me. And one of the things I was worried about here, if I took with the king, was this check, which is how you have to think, right? I only have this move now, and then this, I can't go to the dark squares because of this bishop, and if you go all the way back, you get mated. This is how games are lost. Literally. I mean, who's been in a situation like this? You're up 3 points of material, you're about to mate, and out of nowhere, you are the one getting mated. I mean, doesn't it make you want to throw your computer, like, out the window? It's horrible. So that's why you have to constantly be on the lookout for how they can attack you. And you'll notice that in that game, that's what we did. But listen, hey, fried liver for white, TRAXLER for black. This was the ultimate version of this game. And yeah, if you haven't watched the fried liver or TRAXLER video, baiting people into this and then beating them. I've had people, you know, show me on Twitter how they sacrifice the bishop and then, you know, beat people like this. Like this. You know, play like pawn to d5, the bishop comes out, they mate their opponent by hunting down their king. It's like pretty insane. All right, Vecteru, second person. I'm gonna play a London. I basically try to play at least one London per this series in every single episode, just because the London is insanely popular. You guys want London or Queen's Gambit? Please. You will determine what we put on YouTube. I mean, I will play a London at some point. You want me to play a London or a Queen's Gambit? Okay, so many of you are saying London. I like the accelerated London. I just like to put the bishop on f4. I will tell you why. That bishop is going there no matter what happens. Right? That bishop, it's going to go there no matter what happens. I don't like to move the knight first. I like to delay that, because if they're going to go for a kingside fianchetto with g6, bishop g7, I like to rush at them with the h-pawn. Get very aggressive before I move this knight. So that's that. Okay, so this is already a slight inaccuracy, right? Why is this an inaccuracy? Because in queen's pawn positions, the side should want a c-pawn in front of the knight. I have said this so many times. Why? Because moving the c-pawn first opens up your queen's path, and with the pawn in front of the knight, the pawn and the knight pressure the center, whereas the knight here does not pressure the center so much. However, you see this all the time. Knight c6, you see it 900, here, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500. I mean, check Same's response to my Instagram comment. Okay, fantastic. I'm not cheating, by the way. I promise. Oh, this is very common. To try to build up for e5. Now you have to play knight f3 because the golden rule in the London stopped them from playing the move e5. Okay. All right, let's go to Same's post. All right, it's a post of him and a bunch of friends. I will miss your comments after you reach 500k subs. Is he saying that I will not respond to him anymore after I reach 500k? At the time of recording this, we have 367. Listen, I'm never going to lose touch with reality. No matter the growth, I will stay myself, and I will continue to entertain and educate, and that's going to be the end of that. So anyway, my opponent has gone here to pin my knight to my queen, and now the move e5 is possible. So we need to unpin here with the move bishop to e2, right? This is what you should do, because now the knight actually does fight for the center. My opponent's actually playing this in a great way. For example, had I gone knight to d2 or just played the London the way the London is supposed to be played, my knight does not have any control of the center anymore due to the nature of this pin. So then after bishop to d3, right, this would happen, and then I would not be able to take again. Someone says, Traxler is so bad you take the free pawn with bishop check. Well, that's great, because that literally just happened in the other game, and we won in 15 moves. Or 17, 18 moves. So, good. It's good, yeah. Traxler's so bad, we won in 18 moves via checkmate. It's such a terrible opening. Okay, so we take with the bishop. I mean, taking with the pawn is not terrible, but we might want to castle this way. Now the opponent will play e5. So we have a big decision here. Do we take, or do we move back? I personally am not a fan of taking. And I think at a lower level, a lot of people take without even thinking. Just go back. Why? Because when you take, you have the same problem. And if anything, you've just given black a development square. So you've only helped your opponent. You might say, well, Levy, if you had taken, this pawn would be under attack by 2 pieces. Yes, but what happens after take, and knight out? Attacking this bishop, right? So the knight would defend this. The pawn hits the... So I don't want to do this. Okay, fine. Queen out. Looks like my opponent is setting up a long castle. Okay? Looks like my opponent's setting up a little castle queenside action here. I've got a lot of moves, I'm not gonna lie to you. I can play c3 and then knight d2. I can, I mean, bishop g4 attacking the queen looks very good. But it's not, because this can go here. So this attacks the queen, and this pawn can go forward. But wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. What if I castle? No, 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 no check, no check. Why check? Just block. No. Oh. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the move bishop to g4 now looks very good. The pawn can block, so what do we do? So what do we do? What do we do? Yes. Now we take. You see the difference? The difference is now there is no way for our opponent to block us. And this is why you have to, at least before you take back, think, how can they put me in danger? You have to think, how can they attack one of my most powerful pieces? And if you just spot this move, you will pause for a second before, right? Like, and by the way, if the knight had taken, I would have taken with the bishop. If my opponent had not taken me, that was the best thing to do. They should have been like, wait a second. Uh-oh, there's this. Wait a second, uh-oh. Okay, let me adapt. Maybe I'll just push now. So I'm only a pawn down. You lose a pawn, but you don't lose a queen. If you take with the knight, I take the knight. And then you realize you've made a mistake. So it's actually better not to take with the knight. It's better to not take this at all. And just like get your king or your queen to safety. Like f6, f5. So, and now after bishop g4, this is just a tactical pattern. This only happened because my opponent traded the light squared bishop. And of course they took back on e5. So the ultimate blunder was taking back on e5. Yes, guys, I know there's some crazy person in the chat, but that's always gonna happen. So, and now we take. So listen, YouTube. If at any point y'all are I mean, I might have to just take the comments out of YouTube videos for these recordings, because I've also had people message me like, hey, you know, I like to watch these with my kids, and it can be difficult because at any moment someone in the chat can write something, and now the kid isn't talking about, you know, what's on the screen chess-wise. They're like, hey, Dad, Mom, what does blah, blah, blah mean? Right? So, but it's okay. I mean, all the kids are going to learn anyway, but it's better they learn later, huh? Right, exactly. And the thing is, when really crazy people... Now I'm going to just finish my development and then probably go on an attack, by the way. That's the current plan. Or simplify, right? We're up a queen, so trading pieces is good for us. Yo, Beast, do me a favor, man. Stop, guys. Stop it. It's not funny. It's not funny. I mean, I will just remove chat for the next episodes if it's gonna keep up. But again, I also don't want one person to ruin the experience of 9,332 people, which is how many viewers we have right now. Or later, I mean, you guys know, I'm gonna tell you right now, How to Win at Chess episode 1 was my most successful video by far. You know how many minutes that video has been watched? 11 million. Not views, but minutes, total minutes. 11 million, and it's currently January 5th, 2021. That is crazy. 11 million minutes. That is, and people just keep watching, and you know, hey, even Seme, whose comment we just read, messaged me and was like, yo, man, I'm really enjoying these videos. I'm gonna put my rook behind my queen now. If the knight moves, the rook hits my queen, which is fine. Maybe we sneak the queen in over here next. So. Anyway. It's not the point is not to flex. The point is just to say that it's good content. People are enjoying it, so I will continue to, you know. I'm really excited for today's rating range. I think it's going to be very instructive. I do want to move a little bit faster here. So rather than trading, because we would hang the queen, let's give a check. Very easy move, and now very simple. We will take the rook and take the knight. Maybe we don't even rush to take the rook, actually. I mean, I want to take it just for simplification purposes, but I also do not want to surrender control of the file. So if I take the rook and they take back, they control the entire D file, right? I would recommend that you actually like slow it down a little bit and consider an alternative. But let's just say you do it. I just spoke for 30 seconds why you shouldn't do it. But let's just say you make a mistake. It's fine. Let's just say you make a mistake, okay? This is how you would get a rook here. You bring the queen back because you need to control the D file, right? So files are like kids. I didn't want them, but I also don't want to give up custody of them. Whatever helps you understand the concept better. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. And for anyone watching at home, we've got a good sense of humor here over on the Twitch channel. Anyway, thanks twice too. I appreciate the sub. Thank you for crushing the tournament that we had a couple days ago. Anyway, I've played rook to d1, right? After a move ago, bringing back the queen, controlling the d1 square. And now we have this. And the rest of the game is going to be more or less straightforward. We are going to convert this more or less effortlessly. Maybe bring in the queen, try to trade a pawn here. Again, I'm more than happy to see this move. Don't just go give checks because then you're going to lose your queen. Put the queen here. Queen hits everybody here. Hits this way, this way, this way, and this way. My opponent could go here defending the horsey, but then I will take this pawn. I'm more than willing to take on this trade. Bishop e5? Actually, what's funny is that this would have worked. Because after this, I have this, no? X-raying the bishop to the knight? That's kind of funny. That's a very fancy little trick. Yeah, nice find. Oh, you said no? Oh. Well. It still would have worked. Yeah, bishop e5 and yeah, queen d3 would have been fine. I mean, we have a queen, right? We have a queen, they have a bishop now, so now generally the easiest thing to do, just go take the pawns. Okay, starting with this one, free pawn, and use your pawn majorities to crash through. So Let's hitting this. Push my pawn out of danger, push my pawn, and using the pin here, we don't even have to make another queen, we can just... Right? Thank you, Joe King. Oh, bishop. Now we switch our plan. That was just a free piece. Imagine the opponent resigns. Yeah, GG. That was just an opening mistake. But now you know how to play some of the tricks in the beginning. Right? You know how to play some of the tricks in the beginning with the London here, the pin on the knight, blocking the pin with the bishop, rather than, you know, lazily pre-moving how the London is supposed to look. Understanding how to stop the central move e5. And then keeping the tension in the center. Not just taking, but sliding the bishop back. And then realizing, wait a second, there's this, but there's this. So if I take, right, like this, there is this. And we're good. Why is e5 so bad for white in the London? For white, it's not that it's so bad, it's just that is black's main mechanism for equalizing. So, right, that's all. That's it. Okay. Bouaki is next. Could I have taken the pawn and move earlier? I could have. Yes, but the king was not in the right position for bishop to g4. Right? So I had to wait for the castle to occur. Now, we're playing Bouaki from Spain. Where have the people been so far? Was the last person from Netherlands? D4. Let's go. Are we gonna get a London now? What's gonna happen here? Oh, now, okay, great. Last person was from US? Oh, sorry, I thought Netherlands. Knight f6. So, you notice I'm already not playing the same way as last game. Guys, listen, I don't know what it is with chat today, but if you mess around on YouTube recordings, you will be banned for like quadruple the amount of time. So you think you're funny writing a message that's disruptive, and all of a sudden you've been timed out for like 8 days. So, all right, Adi just got timed out for 2 hours. C5. So, man just came in, wrote one message. Put the knight in the middle. So I'm noticing that the knight is on c6 with the pawn on c5, as I advocated for last game. Now I can play e6, but I can also just, you know, whatever you can do, I can do better with bishop out. Bishop here is also not a bad move, attacking the queen. How do you get timed out? I got you, I got you. There you go. Let's go e6, finishing our development. I didn't want to block in my light squared bishop. I need some more mods. I have some mods. Just one is on the Pacific time. He said, how does he get timed out? I had to show him. It's okay. That person has a history, so, you know. When a person with a history comes in and says, how do I get banned or timed out? I don't need a second thought. So bishop d6, right? Correct. The song name is not showing because there's no music on YouTube ultimately. So the recording long term will not have any music. This is only for the, you know, the 90 minutes or so we record these live, there is music. Okay. You can castle here. You do not need to take. That's always what I recommend. Because if you take and they take, you've just helped them develop. I'm just going to castle. This is the perfect anti-London setup. The perfect anti-London setup. You have put 3 pawns in the center. Your bishop is out. Both knights are out. The bishop is on d6. Now, you want to play e5. We want to successfully accomplish the move e6 to e5. And then we have a perfect position, right? And it's up to our... I don't know if my opponent's going to castle here. I don't know. Maybe my opponent's going to try to castle this way. Aha. h3. Well, there's no need to take. I can also consider this now, because the difference is that if they take, their structure is damaged. However, I think there is pawn takes bishop, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So the reason I didn't take there is because I didn't want to open up the rook. Now that the bishop is out of the way, we are going to take next move, which will damage the structure considerably for white. There is an opening known as the crab. Yes, thank you, Andres Escobar, for the 3 months. Appreciate you very much. The way you queue up for these when we do them, okay, exactly as I said, we've damaged the structure, although the rook will be open in the future on the short side castle. Will be a bit weak for us, but we'll see if our opponent is able to put that to advantage. Now is the move e5 possible? Because of the pin? Maybe not because there is this, but I'll move my queen up attacking this weak pawn. That's what I will do. Show you the crab opening? No, I don't think I'm going to do that. That's I mean, it's a meme opening, but it's not very bad. Is CD4 bad against the London? Yeah, you don't need to do this. What we're doing here by the way, that's a great question, by the way, great question. Why am I leaving my pawn here? I want the opponent to lose their central control. That is the whole point of the pawn on c5. I want them to take. I do not want to be the guy taking and just killing the pressure in the center. Let me take this pawn now. Also, if you want to queue up to play these live, you have to, what's it called? You have to be a subscriber, and when we do the queue, you've got to be here, sign up, and it's that simple, you know? Yes, don't worry. Person in chat said, make sure your address is not on the label of your Starbucks. I don't get my Starbucks delivered. So, why can't followers do it? Because some people are paying $5 a month to support the channel and they will receive certain benefits. That's just how it works. Long term, this might get, you know, many, many views on YouTube and you can enjoy it for free there in its entirety. So that's unfair. I know, it's so unfair. So we're a pawn up. I didn't have to trade the queen. I decided to trade it. And now I will also come back with the bishop and I will trade the bishop. Actually, I just realized this is kind of inaccurate. Giri recommends pushing c4 in the French. That's fine, but that's a different opening. That's just a completely different opening. Pushing c4 also kills the tension in the center. Will I ever consider copyright-free background music on YouTube? Yeah, for sure. That's definitely in the works so that the videos don't just have total silence. So the reason I laugh like that? Oh, I'm just inspired by Northern Lion. He sometimes laughs like that. I'm just inspired by the greatest content creator of all time. I realized this was slightly inaccurate because now they could have taken and it would have been a free pawn. Okay, I'm gonna take finally because I don't want to be taken. And I'm a pawn up. I am one pawn up, and that is it. And this will be a mini endgame lesson in and of itself. Why did I take with my h instead of my f pawn? Because that's a bad pawn structure. Again, my opponent had that happen. If you notice, my opponent took with the f pawn and ended up losing the battle for the structure here. So now the way these games are won and lost is a combination of activating your pieces on the right squares and key pawn breaks. That is how you're going to play these endgames. When there are 2 knights and 2 rooks, you have no excuse for one-move blunders, okay? So you cannot be making one-move errors when there is very few pieces left on the board. You've got to constantly be monitoring what the pieces can take. b5, the idea is to play b4. If take, the center is now destabilized, right? So I'm trying to create pawn play on this side of the board. No, it is definitely not better to take with the f-pawn. Again, my friends, I have answered this question, it feels like multiple times throughout this game. So b4, exactly my plan. Right? So b4, exactly my plan. If my opponent had played b4, I would have created a break with a5. I would have created a... Yes, more often than not, you should take toward the center. Yes. Okay, now should I take and then take, or should I take first? In this case, almost impossible to tell the difference. Not a situation you have to think a lot about. I'm gonna go here. Yes. Thank you, B. Pierce. That was a $25 donation. I appreciate it. If you ask anywhere in the Discord, people will point you in the right direction. There is also a guide in the Discord itself. We put a little guide in the Discord for how to join it. You've got to join via Discord. And it's more or less straightforward. Thanks, Louie Chewy. Thanks that one kid. My voice is definitely not slightly delayed. That might be a lag issue elsewhere. Now again, very tough to say which way do I take with. I don't know. I'm gonna take with the knight so I don't create an isolated pawn. My microphone's been off this whole time. Yeah, imagine. So when you move the knight and the rook hit f7 together. Right? Okay, rook here. Aha, so I can trade rooks, but if I were to trade rooks, f7 would lose a key defender. So what I'm going to do is go here. Right? Is my king weak? No. So now this is defended and I'm threatening knight to e2 check, which would fork the king and the rook. You can tell if your king is under attack or not if you give white a few moves to build up an attack on your king. Actually, you know who said this in a recent video? John Bartholomew. This is exactly what I used to give to my students as an exercise. I would say, give the opponent a few moves in a row. Like, they can't take anything. They can only maneuver their pieces. So even if we give them this and get the rook here, are they threatening anything? No. They need a queen. That's what they need, and they don't have one. They need 2 rooks stacked on the h-file. That's impossible. So, in this position, better to trade rooks or knights. It's actually better to trade both. It's better to trade both pieces. In the other position, I couldn't trade the rook because my rook is guarding my f7 pawn. If I play f6 and e5 and have no more pawn weaknesses, then I will go back to trading the rook. At the moment, I am attacking this pawn and this pawn. My opponent is writing me messages. They're saying, can you tell me at the end how I played? Well, yeah, that's the whole point of all of this. So, yeah. I mean, I'm doing it throughout the game, so, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Dude, stop writing messages. Play a move, damn it. Man just wrote me another message. Come on. Man is listening to the stream too. The best move here for white is rook f4, which attacks my knight and blunders a triple fork. A knight check, which would hit king, rook, and other rook. That is the best move for white. That's what my opponent should play. Yes, we've got 11,000 viewers patiently awaiting for my opponent to play a move. That's a good move. It's passive, but it's required. I'm going to go here, attacking the knight. This stops guarding this, but my knight is protecting. Very important. A lot of people forget about that. It's like, you know, you move a pawn, it used to guard something, but my knight is guarding. I can create a nice little scale. Okay, I'm happy with the knight trade. Very happy with the knight trade. And I'm going to put my rook on the open file. So I've now activated my rook. I control the entire C file. Not necessarily going to go in there, but I'm going to, right? Just control it. I'm going to lock in my knight to the center with the move e5 as well. So this is kind of the perfect setup for me, is that I have a dominant knight. Oh, well, actually, now that that move has been played, I think I will move my rook down to the 2nd rank. The 2nd and the 7th rank for the rooks are extremely useful in endgames, because you can basically patrol all of the pawns, and you can patrol the movement of the king. Oftentimes the king has castled, so the king will be stuck to the bottom line. And, Yo, thank you, Singer. Of course, my opponent, the fabled error. A move ago, I'm gonna take. A move ago, my opponent prevented this but now has sadly allowed it again. The fabled knight fork. And the game is over. Granted, the game was also over here, but now it is certainly over. Let's not hang our rook. Actually, we can hang the rook. Because we would have taken the pawn, and we would have promoted. Yes, that was a joke. I apologize. That was mean. That was not very nice. Oh, triple fork. I talked a little bit of trash, and now I got triple forked. I deserve it. The easiest thing to do when this pawn gets taken is hit both. It's protected, so this trade is easy. Now we pick up this pawn. Well, it moves out of the way, but we will pick it up, and then we will push. Let's also not let the king run away. Sometimes if the opponent hides the king over here, it can be difficult to get it out. So just prevent the king from running away, give a check. Now the king has to go to the back rank. I can take the pawn, but I can also just push this. It doesn't really make a huge difference here. And we go for a ladder mate. We make a queen and a very easy ladder mate as the opponent is completely cut off. That was a good game. Our opponent played a very good London. They played basically a perfect London, but then they played the move h3. So what my opponent should have done in the opening, actually, is slide the queen out to b3, potentially. Something like this is generally the best thing to do when the opponent moves the light squared bishop out. So, playing this with white and getting this optimal setup, but then not being able to handle the middle game, very common, okay? Very common. Like, you just play the London the way you think you're supposed to play the London, but then you don't know what's next. And so what oftentimes can make this a bit easier, for example, in this position, sometimes you can also play f3. Like, you can play f3, g4, and h4. You can take advantage of the fact that you have not moved any of those pieces and attack the bishop on g4. So I've played like this before. You can also, like the way the game happened, right? You can also play queen b3. And now you are attacking the pawn on b7. You are taking advantage of the fact that I've moved my bishop to g4, and you can attack my b7 pawn. So there are ways to punish your opponent depending on how they set up in the opening, right? We've noticed that. Like, the way the opponent plays the opening, we can change our approach just mildly to take advantage of the way they are setting up. And that takes practice. So the way you learn from this game is, okay, the next time my opponent moves their light squared bishop in the London, I'm going to go for queen b3. Boom, done. Maybe I can go bishop b5, pinning the knight to the king, and then knight to e5. And then I would have been solid. I would have had to play something like this. So that is how that works. And the rest of that game, I mean, okay, now I'm going to go e4. The rest of that game was generally already analyzed. I kind of tried to analyze the game as it's flowing. Okay, e4, c6. Let's play d4. And let us play one of the most fabled variations of the CARO KANN, f3. This is called the fantasy variation. The point is that you take back with your f-pawn and you now have two central pawns. Wow, that is the best move. e5 is the best move. The point is that if I take, there is queen to h4 check. So you have to play knight f3. And essentially the point is that you're going to play bishop c4. Like this. You're going to castle and have the open f file for when you move your knight. Now, this is a very tough thing to navigate with black if you don't know what you're doing. Actually, with black, you can lose very quickly. Like, very, very quickly. What's this opening? I just said it. I'm going to say it one more time. Fantasy. Very easy to fantasy. It's not called the, you know, skibbledy-doobledy-dorp or something. It's called the fantasy. And this position is already losing for black because I can go bam. And that is why black in this position has to play the move knight d7, stopping the move knight to e5. Because then they would take and defend this. Because now after king takes, I have check. They cannot take my queen because I'm hitting the king, and I'm going to go here. And now black is already losing. That's actually a hilarious move. Because it looks like it stops what I want. Chat, if I play bishop g5, my opponent's going to go knight f6, so what do I play? If you want to go here, but your opponent is going to go here, what do? It's a move that almost never happens in chess. You just take the knight. It's such a rare move. When do you see bishop takes g8? Oh my goodness. That worked out perfectly. I mean, that was just perfect. I mean, this game just shows you how strong the fantasy variation is, right? Incorporate this into your repertoire. Oh God, I could really rub this in. I can still give a check and then take the queen. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna take the queen. Wow. I mean, hey, if you want a variation for a CARO KANN smashing, now you have one. Still gotta be a little careful. I'll tell you why. If my opponent goes knight d7, I'll show you why you have to be careful. Okay, well. If my opponent goes knight d7, now I'll show you why you have to be careful. Aha! This is why you have to be careful. Because bishop c5. It's never too late to lose your queen. Never too late to lose your queen. But luckily, I'm going to hunt my opponent down before they can get to me. The rook comes in, hitting the king. And, trying to think, is there like a fast mate here? Of course I can sacrifice, but why? Maybe queen e5 to try to go queen e6 and maybe threaten mate like this. Something like this would make sense. So queen c7 has been stopped, but queen e8 has sadly not been stopped. Wow. Lamp, I appreciate you, and I am sorry that this had to play out against you. I'm very sorry. Well, I'm calling this person, by the way, you guys are going to be super confused because I'm calling this person Lamp, and it says clever jacket. Nowhere on the screen does it say Lamp. But this person's username is Lamp. Lamp is great. That's he didn't put Lamp in his chess.com name, but I promise his name is Lamp. Anyway, this is a good line, but you've got to learn how to deal with this. So the best line here for black is knight d7, defending against this sacrifice. And it doesn't work with this, right? Like this. Because black just plays queen takes knight. You say, Levy, that's so stupid because you just lose the queen. Yeah, but then you lose your own queen. So this doesn't work because ultimately you're just down a piece. You have two knights and a bishop, and I only have knight and bishop. So the way this works after the main line is white castles, setting up this. Look at this, by the way. Look at this. All right, look at this. Let's say black like plays bishop d6, rook, pawn, bishop takes f7 anyway. King takes f7, knight e5 is now a double check, showing you the power of this opening, right? Showing you the power of this opening, and then queen takes, and black is still busted. So fantasy variation, very OP. I did not hope that that game would end that fast, but sometimes that's life. All right, static prim from where? Wait a second. Earlier when I went to Static Prim's account, they were from India. Did they just move across the world? I'm gonna play the CARO KANN now. That's how fast they moved? Or are they just on VPN and they don't want me to know where they're from or something? Speaking of VPN... Oh, I can put the plug in there in the video. Bishop f5. So there's two lines here. There's bishop f5, which is the main line, and c5. I actually really like the move c5. It's the second main line in this position. It's what's recommended in the CARO KANN course from Gothamchess.com. But at the GM level, it's always bishop f5, and it's my repertoire. And in general, the rule here is that if you see this pin, you should do it, because it helps you develop. Then you will play e6 and knight c6, completing the traditional CARO KANN setup. The reason you spend 2 moves on c6 and then c5 is because normally this kind of a... What? What is that? That actually looks kind of dangerous. Okay. I gotta think here for a second. If I take, they get their bishop out. If I take the knight first, I don't want that. I'm gonna keep that pin. I'm gonna take one of these pawns. Or maybe knight c6. Or maybe e6. There's so many choices. What do I do? Maybe I take and then I play e6? Huh, that's a very interesting move. Nah, I'm gonna take on d4. Yeah, this suddenly just became trying to win at chess, episode 4. Not win at chess, but trying to win at chess. I'm gonna take on d4, I'll tell you why. If knight takes, I take the queen. If queen takes... Okay, so of course my opponent plays the best move. Now I'm going to play queen takes. So queen takes d4 here is the best move for white. Because then I will take, the queen is out of danger. This, I don't know, maybe this is preparation. Who knows? Who knows? Now I would like to play knight c6, e6, bishop b4. That's what I want. I just finished my development, and I'm happy. Wow. That is an extremely impressive find. I cannot take? Okay. Okay, fair. Good find. Very good find. I can take, if they take my queen, I go here. They can give me a check. I think taking on f3 is probably too risky. Wow, knight c3, what a move. I like queen a5 and queen d8. Which one do I play? Get my queen out of danger? Queen d8 is so passive. Nah, I'm gonna keep my queen active. It just doesn't make any sense for me to go queen d8. I don't know. I don't like it. Why are you telling me I think bishop takes f3 is the main line, but the thing is I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. I'm trying to adapt to this opening on the fly. So now this is... What? What? That's a weird move. Okay. But what? I'm so confused. Why did my opponent not just take my free pawn? I don't understand. This is one of the weirdest games I've ever been involved in. So now I should take, because the pawns get doubled, and then I can just finish developing. Okay. Easy enough. I don't know. Why is my opponent thinking? They have... Okay. Knight c6 attacks the pawn. That probably can't be a bad move. Followed by e6 and then bishop to b4. I guess removing the queen makes me less... I don't know. That was very peculiar. So I'm a pawn up, but it feels like my opponent has a bit more lead of development. Thanks, G-Bomb. Says, got obsessed with your videos over Christmas. Now the whole family watches. Yeah. Nothing's been developed. It's just a very strange opening. Sometimes when in these CARO KANN positions, when things can get shredded open like this so quickly, this happens. Of course, now e6, the bishop is open. This knight will try to land on one of these two squares. So something like knight h6, knight f5, or knight e7, knight g6, or knight e7, knight f5, or knight e7, knight d5, or knight e7, knight c8, knight b6, knight d5, or knight e7, knight c8, knight b6, knight d5, knight b4, knight c2, knight a... I don't know. I think I would rather take back here. Oh! Do you remember a few games ago when my opponent gave a check and then moved their knight? Did y'all watch that game? Instead of just blocking their own bishop, they gave me a check and then did this. Y'all remember that? You weren't here yet? I'm very sorry about that. Now we take and now we develop our knight. So we have gotten faster development here by moving the bishop first and then moving the knight out. And now we are just a pawn up, and these pawns are a bit weak. How do you identify weak pawns? Pawns that have no guard and the square in front of the pawn is under control. Because then we can move our knight and do this. So knight g6 or knight d5. This attacks this. Long castle? Oh. Castling queenside broke my opponent's internet connection. I can castle queenside. It doesn't look that terrible. Also, I'm thinking of this move, but it doesn't win anything because just rook c1. There you go. Kind of feels right to just move my king out of the way of the rook, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for me to move my pieces. But still, this is not an easy position, even with the material advantage. That's also a great move. The idea is to go here or here. This is not too scary. I do not have a set stream schedule, but generally I am streaming in the mornings, Eastern time. This is crazy. Knight, my goodness. Okay, let's attack the bishop. Let's do something with the bishop here. My opponent says, I'm enjoying this a lot. I can imagine you are enjoying this a lot, guy who is calmly outplaying a 2400 rated player. Rook to d7 to defend this. And now the knight cannot go to f7, and we will go here. If I take, he wants this. Is that the idea? I actually call bluff on that. Thank you, Singer. Appreciate you. I'm gonna call a bluff on this. I don't think the b7 pawn is under any sort of pressure. This or this? I mean, I guess this, right? Because knight to d5, there is just this. But then I can go f6. This, for me, is the critical move. Can this work? I think it does. Think if I'm quick enough with my counterplay here. Although knight c6 was probably a lot more solid. Okay. If pawn takes, I take here. Oh, wow, I just forgot the knight could move. Wow, Hellsack, thank you for the 18 gifted subs. That's a very specific number. Wow. And right on cue, my opponent played a move I did not even expect. Okay. This is not good. I gotta start playing better. Knight takes f4 is rook takes rook. No. However, I have open lines now to my opponent's position. And, this doesn't look very pleasant to deal with. This doubling on the file. Feels like my next move is going to be here. Check him? Checking my opponent's actually impossible in this position. You're very welcome. You're very welcome for the content. Knight takes? See, pawn takes, I feel like there is this. If I take, I lose my horse. Then I can take his horse. Rook takes d5 was not possible. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go here. So I'm gonna pawn up in this position. Pawn up. This pin is very annoying for white, it feels like. This is the next move. Like, my opponent cannot move the rook. Cannot move this rook. Cannot move the knight. My opponent's only real move is here. Defending the knight, but then I just go here anyway. How did he find the only move that I didn't see? He literally found the only move. Because now his knight can move and guard the... Oh my god. I mean, my goodness. Okay. 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 Okay, I guess I'm gonna go here and fork the... Okay. Okay, hey, woo. Yeah, I'm not, guys, again, everybody always accuses everybody of cheating when they play a good game. Like, don't do that. That's very silly. I'm more frustrated that I missed that move. I'm not saying it's suspicious. I'm just pissed off that I completely didn't see rook c2. Okay, now I think I'm going to take, and I guess I'm gonna take this pawn. Or maybe I'm gonna take this pawn. Oh, come on, don't think 4 seconds on that. That just supports chat's opinion. You gotta play this move immediately if you don't want them to be suspicious. Now they're all gonna be like, he spent 4 seconds on the only move. I'm gonna take this pawn. I think this is better because these pawns are doubled and isolated. And I feel like this gives me an outside pass pawn. So, now... let us block with the rook. I mean, again, okay, well, that's not very good. Now we are in a knight endgame, up pawns. Check. That's, there's, let's bring the knight back. Now we're up 2 pawns. We have a 2-on-1 on this side, and we have a pass pawn. Just don't lose any pawns. Yeah, a few things give it away. I mean, generally, exceptionally good opening play are what gets people suspicious, as well as taking time on very obvious moves. And that is why people in the chat are like, cheater, 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 but listen. As a streamer, I can tell y'all right now, I play at least one cheater every stream. Not necessarily one of my viewers, like I'll join a tournament, and I will play against the cheater. And I don't know why. I don't know why there are cheaters everywhere. Again, I'm not speaking about my opponent. I'm simply speaking about the issue in a more general sense. So, yes. And people try to get more creative, you know. They look at an engine, but they only play the 3rd best move. They don't play the 1st best move. They play the 3rd. They alternate. They still get caught though. So, outside pass pawn here. It's being used as a decoy. And then I will create another pass pawn on the other side of the board. King c4, defending this pawn. So this is the way you would win an endgame like this. You have to notice where your pawn majorities are, and the position is not equipped to defend both sides of pawn pushes. Now we trade, and this is very easy. I will say this. There was a very big swing of moves in this game. So moves that were insanely strong, and then moves that literally did not make any sense. Wait, h2, f6? Yeah. So, whatever, I don't know what that means. And this is winning because I have an extra pawn. So I will allow my opponent to promote, I will trade the queen off, and I will push. Again, that could just mean, like, some of the stuff in the opening was crazy. I did not expect that. So, it's life. Like I said, it could just be, you know, some good moves mixed with some bad moves, that's all. But I hate that anytime someone plays a good game of chess on stream, it's immediately that they're cheating. I hate that. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. That's, you know. And we don't need to start a witch hunt. Very silly. Very silly. Check. Cut the king off. Do not get closer with the king here. Do not get closer. That's a stalemate. Cut the king off. King c6, and that's it. All right, GG. That was a very strange game. Like, my opponent played this kind of setup in the opening, and then, like, this move literally did not make any sense. I mean, I don't understand queen a4 at all. The best move is bishop b5, and it's not close. Like, you have to keep developing here. You have to keep developing. Chat, why are y'all saying check the accuracy? Like, relax. Deep breath, okay? Relax. No need for witch hunts. 2 more games. Check anyway? Okay. Very strange. Let's go for an English. I almost never play c4 in these things, but I feel like this person is 15-20. Wow, c4 f5. Okay, a Dutch. Against a Dutch defense. This is what this is, and now I'm going to go g3, bishop g2, and then I am going to play d3, and rather than going d4, I'm going to go for e4. So play this like this. This is the BOTVINNIK English, this kind of setup for white. Queen e8, whoa. What the heck is queen e8? Can't I attack the knight? Like, I want a castle, but sometimes in the early stage of the game, you have a move like this. And I just don't understand where my opponent's knight is going. Just a little bit perplexed. For example, if I just defend the pawn, my opponent, it seems like, is desperately running out of space here. Now I can include the move h3, which attacks the knight, forcing it to go to a very passive position. And then I think I can follow all of this up. I can just castle. Because don't blunder. Don't. Because this trade opened up my bishop to see the knight on h6. Don't. Okay, now that the knight is here, I will defend with my pawn. So, in this early stage of the game, we have a very passive knight and bishop hitting the e5 square. I'm feeling like a very easy developing move here. I don't think I need to do anything complicated. Just get my bishop out. Bishop f4 also looked okay. And I think now We have to not push. That's another thing here. We have to not push because this is hitting this. I mean, I don't recommend trading this because you have so many pawns on light squares and a light squared bishop. Like, now you have all these weaknesses. So what if I just go here and attack your horsey? You have to go back, right? I mean, I guess you can also defend with the king. Where do I put my rook? I think here's my plan. I'm going to move my rook to this square. In the future, I want this pawn protected. And so I think I want to push d5, which is already very well supported. So I think I want my rook to defend this. I could be completely wrong. But I think that's what I want. Although now that I'm realizing this is possible, maybe I should have moved my rook here. Ips. Here are my ideas. Oh man, I'm starting to think rook d1 was actually the better move. Okay, well let's go up a square and then we'll go here so that the rook is behind the pawn when it pushes through. Okay, it's okay. Sometimes in positions that are more closed like this one, you can afford to go back. My first instinct was incorrect. So... You hate your job, but you love watching the stream while you do your job? Glad I can make your job easier. Okay, my opponent, very, very aggressive. I'm gonna move back, because now this move is not a fork. So it's hardly a threat, and then I will play a3, b4, d5, and continue to push. Again, the opponent played the Dutch defense, but is not getting enough pieces into the game. Plus, the move knight to b4 destabilized e5. So there is no extra pressure here. Now I will crash through the center of the board. And I think white is now completely winning. Completely winning. And I predict we're going to get this. Okay, never mind. So much for that prediction. Pawn takes? But now I have two very thick pawns here in the center. By the way, I didn't go here because this is protected twice. But now we have extra defense on e6, so we will crash through. Also, there is this. You probably won't read this, but I'd like to compliment you on your awesome content. It's very rare to be the second most watched streamer in any game while not being the best. I meant that in a positive way. You definitely deserve the growth. Yeah, actually, that could be read as a like a troll, but it's not. He has a point. There's a lot of grandmasters who stream, and I don't necessarily agree that being a grandmaster means that you can teach chess effectively. Hikaru's actually very good at it. Hikaru's actually, like, for a top GM, he's like very good at breaking down concepts. I mean, I have the experience of teaching chess for like 7 years before I was a streamer, so it helps me. I can get into the amateur's mind better, and it lets me kind of make things much more applicable. All right, so I have no more forward progress. I want to take this pawn, actually, but then, I don't know. Should I take this pawn? You know what? I'm going to do it. Because actually, how does this rook get protected? I don't still tutor, no. I am the internet's chess teacher now. This is the only move. Yeah, that is not necessary. I don't think you have to sacrifice the bishop here. Knight back to a6 defended the rook, but I will definitely take the free material. Knight c6, I just take. Knight c6 would have just gotten captured, or with the pawn. So, for 1200 rapid ELO, I would recommend my e4 course. I think you would enjoy it the most. I think a lot of people have used that course, and they love it. Queen c5 attacks the horse. I have another situation here where these two pieces are lined up. We had that in an earlier game, but the problem is that the knight is covering right now. So we've removed the knight, and now bishop d5, and we win. Look at that. Same pattern. Bishop pins the queen to the king, and the game is over. Why I didn't play a3? Where, in this position? Because knight c6 would have attacked my queen. That's why I didn't do that. It's kind of funny. I didn't play a3 because my opponent would have went here, and so pinning wouldn't have worked. But I went here because the threat is a little bit more hidden. He can attack my queen using danger levels. Queen is equal to queen, but I take with check, and now it's over. I can take the queen and it's a check. And now we hunt the king down with the queen. So I take with the check, and now my queen cannot be taken. So, now maybe g4. I mean, generally you're not supposed to push pawns in front of your king, but generally you're also not up 11 points of material, so some rules are made to be broken. Now we are looking to deliver a pretty checkmate here somehow with the pawn. Also, queen takes c7 in the previous position. Where? Here? Okay, but we also can win a queen. I don't think we did anything that wrong, you know? I feel like we won the queen. It can't be that bad. Where is the mate? Where is the mate? Check. 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 Where's the mate? Check. Ah, here's the mate. Rook up. That's the mate. So if rook takes, queen takes is checkmate. Yeah, this is funny, but this also leads to a mate. Wait a second. Wait, any rook move is mate, no? Oh, no, but because king f3. That's really funny. So, like, rook here, king f3. Okay, so we will give this rook check. It's a ladder mate in the middle of... Miss mate in one? Where? Where did I miss mate in one? Oh, backwards knight move! Knight e2 was mate! Knight e2 is mate in one. Backwards knight move. Oops. Okay, well, I'll play it now. Rook f7 was not... Was it mate in one? No, because king h4. No. And queen h2 is not mate in one because king g5. Okay, but that's life. That's life. Yeah, chat helped, exactly. No, but in this game, you know, we basically just got our setup, and the most important lesson from this game is at some point in the opening, there are moves in the center to take space and hold on to it. Not trade anything, but take space, attack a knight, and hold on to it. And this is the move. e5. e5. And then f4, and then glue it all together like this. And now you have a monster space advantage, which is what we used to win this game. So that was basically how we kind of won this opening. What my opponent should have done is play e5. Basically in the Dutch, you have to play d6 and e5. That is how you have to fight back for the center. You cannot allow the opponent to clamp down on the center, because having such a drastic disadvantage in the center of the board is essentially losing. It like literally it's essentially losing. And you see the whole game, I just used the space advantage and then pushed through and I won. And that's how you play positions with a space advantage. You stabilize your pawns and you push through. And now we will play Faiz and this will be the final game. Alright, this is an 1800. I've played Faiz many times. And by many times, I mean twice. What do I play against Faiz? Do I play my... I've already played one CARO KANN. Let's play d6. Let's play the PIRC defense. This was my third repertoire option. This was my third repertoire option when I was playing tournaments. I would play CARO KANN, French, and the PIRC, or King's Indian setup. But it's not really a King's Indian because it's only King's Indian against d4, c4. So against e4, this is known as the PIRC. So basically, we have no idea how our opponent is going to set up. Will he play aggressively? Will they play knight f3? Okay, that is a move. h3 is a decent move. Oh, wait a minute. Are they going to play this line? Are they going to play my prep against me? I'm going to be very upset. I hate playing against this with black, which is why I put it in my course for white. I don't think he's gonna... I don't think so. We'll see. But there is a line here I recommend in my e4 course, which just murders. Oh, my person said that my person. Sure, Cenas. Sure. Thank you for the 500 bits. My opponent says I have the e4 course. Oh, dude, then play a move. Don't go in. Oh, please don't go into the e4 course. Is my opponent going into the e4 course here? There's no reason to spend 50 seconds. Okay. I was about to get really upset. Like, they're gonna pull up the e4 course in the middle of the game, and then... don't do that, by the way. If any of you do that, look through the course as you play. Don't do that. Okay, I was about to get very upset. Okay, let's castle. Oh, that would have not been good. You do that all the time? Okay, well, thank you for admitting to literally cheating. Now stop cheating. It's not an open book exam. Okay, yes, that's why you play daily chess. Exactly. To review your lines. Daily chess, you can use the engine. I mean, people do it all the time. I'm not saying you should, but correspondence chess is like that. Okay, so I cannot play bishop to g4. I'm going to play knight c6. And you might say, Levy, what about d5? And that's fine, because d5 locks the center. And I can go knight b4, hitting the bishop, right? So d5 is not an excellent move. Now I want to play the move e5, which is generally the way these positions are played. And I will. Seems easy enough. This is kind of the point of the King's Indian. If you can successfully play the move e5, then you are happy. Wow, interesting. My opponent doesn't do anything, letting me take. How about knight d7? This is an unorthodox move, but it's adding the bishop to pressure the center. Essentially, I want this to happen. I want my opponent to lock the position so that I can create a King's Indian attack. I can play knight back to e7, h6, f5. Wow. Way to copy me, dude. All right. Well, this is going to be a little bit boring then. There's not much I can do here. I mean, I can stall for one more move, hoping they play d5. I'm just gonna wait one more move, but if my opponent has the stream on, yeah, okay. They are very clearly not going to play the move d5. Please, please, please play d5. It's not gonna happen. Now we need a backup plan. Maybe b6, bishop b7, just develop. I think b6 and bishop b7. Are you supposed to play f5? You're only supposed to play f5 if the center is closed. If I play f5 right now, the center can explode, and that's not good for me. So queen and bishop line up against h6, I just defend with my king. Not a problem. Right? My opponent is now giving me video suggestions. What if you got super GMs like Hikaru and Giri to coach you? I think that would make for excellent content. Whether or not they want to do that is an entirely separate story. You know, super GM teaching an IM would be content that I don't think is out on the internet yet. So that would be very popular. But I just, you know, I'm not sure that, I think it would be just a very high level chess lesson is all it would be. I mean, I honestly, I would live stream some lessons that I used to do with my coach. You know, my coach, I worked with a Polish grandmaster, Wojciech Miranda, who's great, by the way, and I've recommended many people to him, and now his schedule is booked up. He recently published a book, signed it and sent it to me, and some other former students. Excellent trainer. A lot of original examples, and we did a lot of just very practical training, you know, defensive dynamics. Wojciech said that of all the people he ever taught, I had the best understanding of dynamic positions. I felt very humbled. Knight to h2. Wow. That is a very professional move. Okay, I think it's time to take. I'm kind of tired of this in the center. I'm not gonna take. I'm gonna go here, trying to get the bishop. I don't think it's good for me to trade here and restructure my opponent's center. So knight e5, attacking the bishop, I think is good. If the bishop goes back to e2, I take on e4, which is nice. And I think my opponent basically moved the knight out of the way to make forward progress. No, this is... Chad, if you guys are suspicious of an 1800 playing the move knight to h2, I think you just don't understand 1800 chess. When you can't make forward progress in a position, sometimes you need to take one step back to take two steps forward, that's all. That's why my opponent played that. Yeah, Wojciech Miranda, M-O-R-A-N-D-A. Very good trainer. A trainer who I told to raise his prices because of how good he is. Okay, now I have this move. So no matter what happens, the bishop has surrendered control of c4. So now no matter what happens, I will pick up a bishop and I will have two bishops versus one. So knight takes e3. Okay, not saying that I'm, like, winning or anything, but I think I've improved my position a bit. Let's go queen e7. Lining up something here, rook will come and support the queen as well. This is going to be a position that I'm going to have to develop very slowly over time. What's the difference between the modern and the King's Indian? In the King's Indian, you have a knight on f6. In PIRC and King's Indian, you play knight f6 on the second move. And in the modern defense, you delay it with g6. Which allows you to play things like d6, knight d7, e5, and then put the knight here, rather than playing knight f6. You can also play c6 and b5 and play on the queen side. You can also play the pterodactyl or the beefeater, which are both real names. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I can play the move f5 because the queen is pinned and my opponent cannot take. I would love to play this move. I think this is a very strong move now. Because if I can get my pawn clamping down on f4, you'll notice that all of my opponent's pawns are on light squares, which means which color complex is weak? The dark square complex. Who has the dark squared bishop? Gothamchess. Who can clamp down on the dark squares and utilize the dark squared bishop? Gothamchess. Who loves his viewers very much? Gothamchess. You know, it's all the good stuff. Who just ran a 3-minute advertisement after telling him he loves his viewers? After telling them he loves his viewers? Gothamchess. Sorry, I have to turn off pre-rolls. See, on Twitch, we have this thing called pre-rolls. So when a person comes to your channel and they're not a subscriber, they will get advertisements. But if you run 3 straight minutes of ads, and people can, you know, mute and do whatever, they don't have VPN or ad block, then they will get the advertisements. But when it's over, for a whole hour, you turn off pre-rolls. So every program, I mean, every website changes the way they deal with advertisements and the way they handle them, but that's how Twitch does it. YouTube has, you know, you can plop them in the middle, and I get a lot of questions on my YouTube videos like, man, I can't believe you post all this content for free. Look, I mean, if I can put 4 or 5 ads on a video and you can deal with it, you know, watching 5 to 10 seconds and then just clicking, you know, skip, that's great. Like, people ask me, like, by the way, this knight move, queen defense, that's the point. So I'm happy to make all this. Oh, now white is winning. Not white. Black is winning. How's black winning, my friends? What is my most forcing move here? Not bishop a6. Oh, you mean in the other position? Chat, if bishop a6, just a4. Or even knight takes c7, no? Because if I take, they take? No? I don't know, but I'm gonna keep my position defended. Not a pawn push. What is black's most forcing move? Not c5. That is not black's most forcing move. The most forcing move for black, technically, is knight takes f3, taking and checking, but then I would lose my knight in 4 different ways. It's knight to c4, because I'm attacking the queen, and on the hierarchy of forcing moves, it's checks, captures, attacks. Attacking the queen is the most forcing attacking move. This is the best move, because when the queen moves, I jump in here, defended, and I fork the rooks. So I use the attack on the queen, and then I jump into e3. If I didn't have knight to e3, this wouldn't work. But knight c4 hits the queen, and then this. And if my opponent goes here, which I expect, then I take this pawn and I fork in another way. So I don't coach individuals anymore. Unless they are YouTubers or Twitch streamers. Like for PogChamps 3, for example. But no. And I think I might... I like to fortune tell. I think in the future, if I ever get a message from like some sort of prominent figure or whatever, I will, and they want private lessons, rather than giving a private lesson and charging for it, I'll just be like, just join on stream. We'll do a lesson on stream and it'll be free, so. Any leaks? For what? PogChamps 3? You want me to tell you who's playing? I'm not going to tell you who's playing, but as Hikaru said, you know, there are reasons why people are playing chess right now. That is a really good move. Oh my goodness. Not taking back, but going here. Wow. Wow. Okay, I gotta think here. So I can defend like this, just very passively. I think that might be my best move. Yeah, I think I just have to go here. Because if I go here, I walk into another attack. Actually, then I can take. Wait a second. This could be a trap that I set. Now, it's kind of hope chess, but... Actually, maybe Queen F7 is just straight up the best move. That's kind of funny. I think this is the best move. No. Queen G5 walks into more attacks. Queen G5 looks all high and mighty and aggressive, but it's not a good move because it can just get hit. This is a blunder because I would go here and then here and then here. So I would take with check and then I would take the pawn and I would keep this guarded. Knight E3, chat members, dearest chat members, you are so selfish if you think Knight E3 is the best move. The move pawn to E5 opens the door for the queen and the bishop to get there. And you're all like, haha, I could fork. Why y'all trying to lose the game? You literally hang mate if you play that move. I mean, think about it. Monitor the movement of the opponent's pieces. The queen and the bishop's door has been opened to G6, okay? The whole point of this series is to teach you to visualize what your opponent wants. Right? That's the whole point. That's what we're doing right now. Now, if my opponent takes back my horse, I will take the pawn, attacking the horse, and I'm very happy, and I'm probably just easily winning now. But... okay, let's trade rooks. The more pieces that I can get off the board, the better. Plus, I think I can play h5 at some point. I'm playing h5 not to show my opponent I know how pawns move, but to control the movement of the knight forward. I do not want the knight to ever make forward progress. Why didn't you just take the pawn? Where? Here? Because once again, this. Guys, hello? YouTube, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself multiple times, but I feel like I've said this many times already. I do not want to get checkmated. I don't know if this is a surprise for some of you. Bishop e4? Okay, I'm gonna stop responding to messages and I'm gonna just focus. Okay, let's double up. Where do we double up? Do we double up here? I don't know. Where do we double up? Let's go here and here. Double up the rooks. Although I just realized there is this move, which is kind of funny. Very strong move. Queen a4? What, you want this? Really? 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 Okay, you convince me. Oops. I just blundered. Now two things attack my rook? And this is a threat. Huh. Uh-oh. That's not very good. Queen a4. My god. What a move. My goodness. Am I still playing the same person, or did the older brother just sit down to play? What just happened? Wait, I'm just straight up losing. Wait a second. Hold on. Hold on a second. Queen f5 doesn't work because I just lose my rook. Yeah, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna lose my queen. And then I'm gonna go here. So what is the count? It's 2 rooks for a queen. 2 rooks for a queen. Luckily, my opponent only has 40 seconds. None of it worked. I don't think any of it worked, chat. If b5, knight g5 check, here, and then I lose my queen, and then I lose my rook. I don't think any of it worked. Okay, so here, this is the easiest thing to do. Sacrifice the rook for the knight with check, and then go like this, and now it's rook and 2 bishops for a queen, and it should be winning. So... yeah, wow. That was a little bit more stressful than it had to be. Where do I hide my king? This safe? This looks safe. We will take a look. We will take a look at the position for sure. Puzzle Rush should be in an hour and 18 minutes. Or something like that. Okay, let's put the bishop on c5. Ah, that's the end. Once I get the bishop to c5, which this is game over. My bishops and my rook now are just too strong. Although even with this, I mean, there is this to worry about, man. It's really push. Got it. And rook to e7, creating a weakness. Now I target it immediately with my rook and my bishop, and my opponent has no checks. So this should be, but it's still annoying. It's still an annoying position. But that's the end of the game. Wow, there's a lot of small nuggets of information in that game. I definitely will analyze it. That was an intense game of chess. We were just very clearly better from the opening. Was f5 the best move here? Yes. Instructional content with Gothamchess. f5 the best move to create this clamp and then play here. Yes. 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 And then did my opponent play e5 was it was one of the best moves. Queen f7 was the best move to defend. Take here, here. And then finding queen a4 was ridiculous. That was an excellent move. a6 was bad. Okay, that was a lot of incorrect coordinates. The person said, why did you go a6 instead of a7 when he went queen a5? Okay, you're saying, why did I go, let me just clarify that. Why did I, why did I go a6 when he played queen a4 instead of a5? Because in the future, maybe I can go b5. In reality, the move a5 is probably also fine. But a6 and b5 was my idea. But you're right, I mean, a5 could have been okay. Actually, after knight e4 creating all of these threats, rook takes d1 is the top computer move. And then going for this is the top computer line. So you'll notice I got very frustrated when I blundered this, and I still played the best thing, because I realized that there was a lot of things that could go wrong here. A lot of you were saying just stop knight g5. Yeah, but hold on, then you just lose a rook for free, right? So that's not good. So then a lot of you were saying bishop takes e4, which looks good, except they're not going to take, they're going to take this. You have to think, what are they going to take that's worth the most? They're going to take the rook, which attacks the queen. Now, some of you were also saying, why didn't you go b5? And I didn't go b5 because after check here, taking, I take the queen, they take this. Rook f7. And I thought that here my position was not great. The computer is very confidently calling me a moron and saying my position was fine. So it looks like b5 was also a move that I could have played. I calculated b5, check, here, 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 and I was like, I don't like this. But it turns out I was just straight up incorrect. People are saying king h6. Where? Here? In this position? Is that what the computer is saying? No, the computer is saying I just hang a rook. What? No, computer is just calling me dumb. But that's okay. So one mistake, and then this happened, and rook, and yeah, I just want to show one more thing. In this position, the best move for me is rook here. If I go to save my rook, then knight g5, and queen is there with the two rooks. So A6 was a mistake, though. I should not have played A6. I should have continued with my plan of doubling my rooks. Oh, here the engine says King H6. Oh. Well, okay. I mean, no human being in history will play King H6 here. Not one. You give this position to any Super GM, not one of them will play this move. So, I can also read the engine line, but that doesn't mean that we have to play this. So Rook FD8 is the best move for sure. The difference here is that after this, I can take, and my Rook has an extra guard. So, can I show why Queen E7 is losing? People think it worked? When? When? When was Queen E7 losing? What? When was... Huh? When was Queen... What? Huh? What? When? Instead of A6? What? I don't know, chat. I don't know. But on that note, which literally made absolutely zero sense, we will say goodbye to YouTube. Say bye. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Make sure to check out some other videos which will appear on that side. Some of my other playlists on openings, puzzles, tactics. Short instructive chess vids is a good playlist. It was very fun today, and I will catch you in the next episode.